Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Coffee with Tea. I'm your host, the amazing T Street. Today's mug says Jesus and coffee. I want to jump right in this morning and talk about a topic that I call failure is the wrapping, but growth and humility are the gifts. Recently, I got a DM on Instagram from a young person that heard me speak in the fall, and the question that they had was, T, you said that failure is not fatal. In fact, it can produce great things if you allow it to. What did you mean by that? And I'm so glad that they sometimes, because an hour speech does not give you enough time always to go into depth about every single point that you're making. So I'm so glad that this young person reached out to ask the question. And so here's the answer to that. It's encapsulated in my message today, which is failure is the wrapping, but growth and humility are the gifts. What do I mean by that? People always ask me, T, what are the things where you failed? And, people always say, oh, failure makes you better, it makes you better, it makes you better. I'd love to tell you that it just feels good while it's making you better. It does not. And so when kids ask me for specific examples, and that happens all the time, by the way, you can't throw something vague out and expect that kids aren't going to ask you for specificity. And so today, one of the examples I'll give you is one of my greatest failures, particularly in speaking, happened because I didn't prepare. I was traveling abroad, and then I came back and did a speech on the West Coast and flew back into Columbus and literally landed about an hour before I was supposed to be speaking at an event where a big cabinet member from a president's cabinet was here in Columbus speaking. And they had asked me to come in and give a few words. And I'll be honest, because I had been traveling abroad and I had just come back from the West Coast, I hadn't prepared. And I failed. I didn't prepare. I tried to wing an important speech that I should never have winged. I should have written it out. I did not. I wasn't being arrogant, but I also wasn't being thoughtful in my preparation. And so I got up there and I winged it and I failed. And I got a call from a woman named Dr. Barbara Nicholson, and she called me and summoned me to her office, where she gave me one of the best whoopings I ever got. Not physically, but certainly one that was meant for my growth and my transformation. And she said, you had a world-class stage and you blew it because you didn't prepare. And I could only eat that. Failure in that moment was evident and it was painful. And what I loved about her is she said, now, you will never make that mistake again because you're going to take this failure and you're going to learn something from it. It's going to make you humble and it's going to grow you. And you know what? Dr. Nicholson was absolutely right. I don't go in unprepared anymore. If it's something I can't do, and it's unrealistic for me to make the commitment, I simply say I can't do that. That's a growth area for me because I want to do lots of things. But I should, in actuality, have turned that engagement down because I knew I didn't have proper time to prepare well for the engagement. And so what I mean by it is failure was simply the wrapper. It was the wrapping with the bow on it, but it wasn't the gift. People get that confused. Failure can be a great gift. Failure was not my gift that day. The ability to be humble from it and to grow. Those were the two gifts that came from my failure. Humility allows us to learn from the things that we've been doing. Good morning, Darlene. I love you. Humility helps others to connect with us and relate to us. When we are humble, people go, I appreciate the fact, T, that you're authentic and that you told us that you made a big mistake. You were on a world-class stage and you blew it. I've blown some things in my life, so it helps other people relate to us. But it also, for me, humility reminded me that there's someone greater than the amazing T Street. Those three gifts, if I didn't get anything else from the wrapping in the box in which failure, was wrapped, I got humility to taught me those three things. But I also grew from my failure. It forces me to stretch. Every time you're in a state of growth, can I just tell you, when you're gaining weight, your skin itches. Your skin becomes uncomfortable because you're putting on weight, or whether you're putting on muscle, it starts to stretch your skin and it makes it uncomfortable. So you can't stay in that place for long without being uncomfortable for long periods. And so inevitably, you're going to do something. You're going to increase your muscle mass and get used to it, or you're going to lose the weight so that your skin stops stretching. The moment that you are growing, it's uncomfortable. So it produces uncomfortability, which produces movement. Growth also makes complacency uncomfortable. When I am complacent, can I just tell you, it don't feel good to me because I know that I'm called to excellence and exceptional behavior. And so when I'm complacent, my growth forces me out of a place of complacency. When I start gaining weight, I can't wear a medium. I need to go up to an XL because it makes me uncomfortable to stay where I am. And that is an outcome of growth. And finally, the moment I start to grow, it gives me access to endless possibilities. So while failure may feel fatal, it's just a wrapping on the gifts called growth and humility. Today, take the risk of failure, become humble from it, and grow. I'm the Amazing T Street, but can I tell you, there's absolutely positively nothing amazing in me that's not in each and every one of you. So today, I challenge you, take the wrapping of failure off the gifts of growth and humility, because God wants us to prosper, and growth and humility will produce that. Have an amazing day.